This was going to be a short one. I'm going to tell a story and then I'm going to explain to you why this is so important. So, New York legalizes recreational marijuana, tying move to racial equality. Under the law, 40% of tax revenue from cannabis will be steered to minority communities that have a disproportionate number of marijuana arrests. Yo, I think that should be 60%. You should get the least amount of that, but that's a other story. After years of stalled attempts, New York State has legalized the use of recreational marijuana, enacting a robust program that will reinvest millions of dollars of tax revenues from cannabis in minority communities ravaged by the decades-long war on drugs. Let's go. Signed it in on Wednesday. 15 states. Didn't work beforehand. Unlike any other state in America, this legislation is intentional about equity. Equity is not a second thought, it's the first one. It needs to be because the people who paid the price for this war on drugs have lost so much. Okay, that's very true. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I think that's virtue signaling a tiny bit because even though other states have done it for the sake of just, the money that's involved, like it still helps. Like they got us to that point, so if you wanted it to be about equity, maybe you could have just, done this already, but okay. New Yorkers are permitted to smoke cannabis in public wherever smoking tobacco is allowed, though localities and a new state agency could create regulations to more strictly control smoking cannabis in public. Smoking cannabis, however, is not permitted in schools, workplaces, or inside a car. The fair. In New York City, it'll be banned in parks, beaches, boardwalks, pedestrian plazas, and playgrounds where tobacco smoking is banned. Smoking is generally permitted on sidewalks in the city. Okay, that's stringent, but okay. Blah, blah, blah. Other changes. Cannabis delivered to their homes. Use cannabis products at lounge-like consumption sites. So this is becoming like hookah. And cultivate up to 6 plants at home for personal use. Dispensaries will open until more than a year from now. Okay, yeah, it's going to generate mad money, blah, blah, blah. Under the law, patients, medical cannabis. And then they're throwing in sexual, okay. Republican lawmakers oppose the echoing safety and health concerns from parent-teacher association and law enforcement groups. Okay, that's a perfect segue. So it is expunging marijuana from records. Cool. That means that a lot of homies about to come home free. Like, we're going to be honest on that. A lot of homies about to go home free. Whatever. I want to address that and that. Before I tell the story. Echoing safety and health concerns from parent-teacher associations and law enforcement groups. Okay, such as a potential influx of people driving under the influence of marijuana. Okay, legalizing it doesn't mean we wasn't already smoking it. Like, your user base is already so large that you think it wasn't happening before? Like, cutting down on drunk driving is through messaging. This is unregulated. Have you ever had like a marijuana induced car crash? I've heard from people who smoke and drive. It make you more like more concerned. You just be worried about everything. Okay, I'm just gonna go slow. You guys can't do nothing to me now. Um, but parent teacher associations, what's your issue? Your teachers. The teachers smoke. How we dealing with your kids? We smoke, baby. Like parents, you smoke to deal with your kid. Like you are not Republican lawmakers echoing safety and health concerns from who? Who are the parent teachers? The white ones who be drinking wine and be driving drunk from soccer practice. That's the ones they're talking about. And law enforcement groups. Oh gee. Oh no, you're not even gonna get a. You're gonna get a. Oh, gee, I wonder why that is. I wonder why the police will have an issue with people being able to smoke now. Maybe it's because they won't be able to harass them anymore. Oh, driving under the influence of marijuana. You live in New York City, so you don't need a car. You don't need a car. Like, it'd be funnier if you said train conductors, like, under the influence. legalizing something just makes the culture better for it. It doesn't open it up to a brand new like wad of people. Like, and I always say that about like, do you think like what do you think like how do you think drug markets grow? Through what need would I have to use harder substances if there wasn't something like ailing me in my life and I wanted to get away from it? Like babies don't come out the womb. Well, okay, not all, but some. Okay, there's a thing we know. We're not gonna mention it. But like we generally don't come out the womb like, damn, where's the blunt? Like generally. Yes, there are. Yes. Anyway, we're not gonna talk about it because that's private. But okay, story time. Their licenses charge run by the Cannabis Control Board, blah blah blah. Can't be proud. This law compromise. Reviews and study the market share and industry. Okay, blah, blah. That's over. Okay, so I was hanging out outside before I started the stream, and a friend of mine came up to me, and we were talking about a bunch of stuff going on in our lives, and the conversation landed on weed. And he was like, "Yo, I'm about to go smoke with my boy. Let's go inside, and I'll show you what I got." And I stopped him for a second, and I was like, "No, dude, you don't have to like hide it." He's like, "Oh yeah, because it's legal." And it made me think, "Oh shit, I just had a better thought. Oh my god. All right. This is good. This is going to be a good one." Yo, it made me think like if you don't criminalize people, their heads clear. Oh shit. So I was gonna make the original point that like, hey, look, a small little thing, which it's not little it's not little in its own world. Like it's a big thing. But like it's little in comparison to like global hunger, if you know what I mean. Like it's a small part of your daily life that you don't really think that too much of until you know the police get involved or whatever. But like on the small scale, it's that small little interaction that changes its validity, because now it's like, oh shit, we don't have to like be afraid to talk about it or be afraid, I'll meet you at the park and we'll light up, or we'll walk down the block and we'll light up. Like it stops the stigma, which opens up a whole new arena of like things you can do that are socially accepted and ingrained in society, but it's very small and it's only one thing. What are you texting me about? Oh, menu. And it made me think to myself, yo, that's crazy. Like, imagine like being able to change the stigma of daily interactions by like legalizing or minimizing the punishment for the smallest of things. How much happier people go out into their like daily routines and do their thing because they're not affected by that anymore. Imagine if we change the stigma around like other things. Homelessness, poverty. It's not, the hood teaches you how to deal with the real world. Okay, no. The hood lacks a lot of things that a lot of other places get. Let's get those things in there. And people feel like, oh shit, I'm poor, but I'm not out of the, like, I have things that other people don't. I can make moves. Like, and in the term of drugs in general, holy shit. The stigma is, I used to be a cocaine addict. Now I'm not. And I'm proud to say that. Like, I got rid of the substance. But then you can define, oh shit, he's doing coke. I don't have to participate in that. But it's okay that he does because he's gonna either be responsible, blah blah blah, whatever. Like the stigma changes. And a lot of people get affected by that stigma and that walks around with them. They get aggy about certain questions because of certain stigmas attached to whether or not you have the knowledge or not. That's crazy to me. That's culturally revolutionary. So it makes me think, why did you wait? Why are these things in place that create these? And this is where you get into systemic problems. That's the segue there. That's where you get into systemic issues. The reason why you feel the way you feel about certain things is because society says so. I get it. Ha ha. We live in a society. I said the line. Like, whatever. But we address concerns based on the things that we think are important. And we know that there are things that are on the other side of the table that are also equally as important. But those things don't walk with you every day. Those things don't make you feel like you are a bad person for existing. And just think about how many things we've learned as we grew up that told us this is the way you should feel about stuff. This is the way that you should this is the way that you should make your entire identity revolve around. To where now you want to talk cannabis with somebody and you want to show them a pretty tree you got. Yo, let's go inside. One, so people don't judge us. Two, so the boys don't roll up and have something to say. And you just knocked both of those things out. So now he's less hesitant to talk about it, which means he's less hesitant to talk. And now when he walks out into the street, that's another subject that he might like to talk about. Maybe he's a pothead, whatever. But now that's a comfortable segue for him to start talking about other stuff. One day I know this is a really surreal hypothetical, but I'm going with it for the effect. Now, through talking with other people about it, he realized he wants to open up a business because he knows the knowledge and he knows what people like. And he can literally like guide people through experiences like trying different things. And now somebody comes to him for advice on something and doesn't have the ripple effect is so unnoticeable to us because we're so conditioned to want change. We want things to be better. But even we don't understand what the world will look like once we get those things. And that's kind of why I hate incrementalism as much as I love it. Because, if I know the answer to the problem at large, I don't want to chip away at it. But this chips away at a lot of problems. And I feel like we're all going to make the 420, like April 20th is going to be nuts. Let's get that out of the way. But on a social scale, just imagine what door this opens for young people who want to be progressive, legislate. All right, I'm going to be a judge now because I don't have to worry about putting poor black men in jail for that thing. Boom, now you've got a court system based on values that matter to people. And like we don't look at things like that anymore. So it's like real small, real small shit, but that leads to something. That leads to if we could do this, why can't we do that? And yeah, there's a lot of people who are opposed to it, but like you got it. You got it. That's not cool to you? That's not awesome to you? Yo, like no funny shit. I wanted to make content like that. Like this video that you guys are watching is the type of stuff I wanted to talk about. Like that's where I want my content to be. Like I want to talk about the ripple effects of every single thing that we discuss. That's what I like. This is such a wonderful story. There is no negative to this that isn't just hilariousness. Like there is no this is positive. And I feel like we don't get positive news because when the things go right for us, we're like, yeah, duh. What about the other stuff? Because there's always other stuff, but look, you can do it. You can get to a point where enough people say that shit is stupid. We're not doing that anymore. And you have to keep pushing. I'm sorry that it's tiring. But in the year 2100, in the year 2100, they're going to still be talking about stuff like this. And hopefully by that time, you've talked enough that the conversation is just about that. I have a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah. Uh, I just had a bacon, egg, and cheese. Maybe that's why. But yeah, marijuana was legalized in New York. Congrats.